can't lock up someone for what you think he might do. Not even a Lee Weber.
Or even a Joe Chernak. You know something, Stephen? That one night in front of the chandlery, I could have stopped Joe Chernak. But Rita Jacks and her mother wouldn't let me. They talked me out of it. So Joe died, and Rodney went on trial for his murder. But maybe that night in front of the chandlery, I could have nipped the whole thing right in the bud.
Maybe. It's easy to blame yourself after the fact. Joe Chernak was born to wind up on a dirty wharf or in a ditch or an alley, if he didn't get the other fellow first.
Nobody is born to wind up anywhere, Stephen.
Well, what do you have in mind, Elliot? A sort of law that works like preventative medicine?
Oh, is that so ridiculous?
Well, you know it is. What would stop someone from having you or me arrested for some crime they thought we might commit? Now listen, Elliot. I'm on your side. Now look, Lee took a swing at me. Potentially, he's as violent an individual as I've ever seen. But legally, our hands are tied.
Yeah, I know. The law's on the side of those Lee Webers. Oh, I know those Lee Webers, Stephen. I spent 6 months in a cell with one once. Then till he knifed a guard. You know, they all have a common denominator, Stephen. They're all so wrapped up in their own ugly little lives that they don't give a hoot about anybody else's rights or anybody else's life. And the frightening thing is that you can't get through to them, you see. You can't break down that wall of indifference. I'm going to pass something on to you that I think will slam the door shut on Lee Weber once and for all. Chris told Allison something in confidence, and Allison passed it on to me only because she was smart enough to be afraid. Chris told her that Ann wasn't responsible for his accident. And Allison thinks that Chris is covering up for Lee.
His own brother blinded him?
Well, who else would he want to protect?
Ooh, that's stretching brotherly love a bit far.
Wait a minute, Stephen. It doesn't have to be brotherly love at all. It could be fear. Why else do you suppose he's refused to tell Ann? Why do you think he made Allison refuse not to tell?
All right, let's say that Lee did do it. So he had a motive for accusing her. Ann isn't interested in a vendetta. When she finds out she's innocent, that'll close the matter as far as she's concerned.
Yeah, but not as far as Lee is concerned. If he did it, he's going to feel like his back is against the wall.
Because people are bound to ask. If Ann didn't do it, who did?
Sure, that figures, doesn't it?
Ellie, why did you come here? Why did you tell me?
Because you're Ann's lawyer. All right. Because I want to put pressure on Lee. Because I want him squeezed.
So do I. But we're going to have to be prepared to deal with Lee when he's cornered.
Stay where you are.
Are you all right? I've been looking all over for you.
It's a long way down, isn't it?
Chris.
To the sea and the rocks. That ledge is about halfway. I was lucky I only fell that far. I was lucky.
Come down here.
Why?
Because I don't like this place. What are you doing with that suitcase?
Waiting for my train.
Well, what are you doing here?
I'm leaving Peyton Place.
Are you taking a train back to Boston? Going back to school?
I'm not going to Boston. And I'm not going back to school.
Well, where then? You can't take off. I'm not going to let you. Just give me a little more time and things will be just the way they were before, with Ann Howard out of our hair. Just the way they were before, old buddy. Just you and me. You know what I mean?
Goodbye, Lee.
You just can't walk out on me, Chris. Where are you going?
New York?
How come New York?
It's big.
You know the train doesn't stop here.
You always used to like to play up here because it scared me and you knew it, right?
Hold on, Chris.
You knew it. That's why we always had to play blind man's buff up here. Because your little brother was scared. Scared of the blindfold, scared of falling, and scared of the dark. A joke, huh?
Don't, Chris.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to be the blind man. I wouldn't let you get near me with that blindfold. But you would have caught me if she hadn't come. We held her for you. And she whimpered because you tied the blindfold too tight. You threw sand at her and sticks. You barked and howled and yelled, tormenting her the way you wanted to torment me, until she couldn't stand it anymore. Started screaming for help and crying and pulling at the blindfold. It could have been me. It would have been me if she hadn't been lonely that day. I had to help. I reached out. I was going to loosen the blindfold when you pushed me. And I fell. Only as far as the ledge. I was lucky.
Why did you have to remember?
It's 10-2. I gotta get started in a couple of minutes.
What's in New York?
Well, it's away.
From me?
It's running, which is cheating, but that's all that's left.
I was the one that always cheated. You brushed your teeth when you weren't told to, learned your lessons, said your prayers, smiled a lot. The folks liked you a lot more than they liked me. They couldn't help it, everybody did. That's the way it was. The whole world on your side, against me. I used to dream of ways of killing you slowly and taking a long time doing it. And Colby was you, whining and begging and groveling under my feet. I loved it. And afterwards, after, sending you to college, giving you money, trying to get you to beg from me, need me, want me just a little.
I wanted to like you when I was little, but I couldn't risk it. Until now.
Do you want me to take you to the station?
No.
You're going to miss your train.
I know. I'm not going, Lee. I've changed my mind. I'll live with it. And you.
Chris? What are we going to do about Ann Colby?
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
Now, I need a job.
And you thought I'd give you one if I didn't like the sordid little story you told me about my son.
I told you the truth.
Sensitive artist to the keyboard. Musician with soul. If I had a soul, it died 17 years ago.
What if I hadn't made it?
You're upset, Steve.
Here's another question for you. What if Martin Peyton had married you?